I've never liked my birthday. It sounds weird, right? Most people look forward to that one day when they get congratulated, cared for, and become the center of the world. But for me, a birthday is just a reminder that I'm growing up alone. My name is Bellamy. I'm a second-year student at a university in California, a place full of sunshine, laughter, and people who seem to always know where they're going. Me? Not so much. I'm majoring in psychology. But the truth is I don't even understand myself. Bellamy, you coming to the bar tonight? Tyler's voice rang out from behind me as I stepped out of the lecture hall. I turned around and forced a smile. Nah, I've got an essay to finish. Oh, come on. Again? It's your birthday, man. Tyler made a face. At least celebrate a little? Birthday. I froze for a second, then shrugged. It's just another day. Tyler stared at me for a moment, like he wanted to say something. But in the end he just sighed. You're really no fun, Bellamy. Maybe I wasn't. I left campus as the sky was turning golden. Soft sunlight stretched across the stone paths, and a light breeze rustled through the maple trees, making the leaves whisper. Everything was beautiful, but none of it felt like it belonged to me. I shoved my hands into the pockets of my hoodie and walked slowly toward the dorm. My phone buzzed with a few birthday messages from family and some casual friends. I skimmed them and replied half-heartedly. Nothing special. No one I was actually waiting for. You're Bellamy, right? The voice came just as I stepped into the dorm's common area. I looked up, and that was the first time I saw Yael. He was standing near the window, the late afternoon light catching in his slightly curly black hair and highlighting the sharp lines of his face. A little taller than me, broad shoulders, the clean build of an athlete. But what caught me was his eyes. A calm, deep gaze, with something incredibly gentle in it. I'm Bellamy, I answered, frowning slightly. And you? Yael? He stepped closer and held out his hand. I just moved into the room next door. I shook his hand. Yael's palm was warm. Welcome, I said. A short silence. Then Yael tilted his head and looked at me. Today's your birthday, I sent it? I paused. How did you know? He shrugged and lifted his phone. Floor group chat. Someone mentioned it. I gave a weak smile. It's no big deal. Yael looked at me a little longer than normal. Not in a prying way. More like he was reading me. I don't think birthdays should be no big deal, he said. I let out a small laugh. You wouldn't get it. Then explain it to me. His words caught me off guard. We'd known each other for less than a minute. And he was talking like he actually cared. I shook my head. There's nothing to explain. Yael didn't push. Instead, he just nodded lightly and said something I couldn't forget. Then, can I have a chance to make it not no big deal? I don't know why I said yes. Maybe it was the look in Yael's eyes right then. Or maybe I was just tired of saying no to everything. We sat in the small dorm kitchen with 2 cups of ramen and a simple cupcake Yael had grabbed from the convenience store. Nothing fancy, he said, scratching the back of his head. But I hope it's okay. I stared at the plain white frosted cupcake with a single candle stuck in the middle. And suddenly, my throat tightened. It's fine, I said quietly. Yael lit the candle. The tiny flame flickered in the quiet air. Make a wish, he said. I looked at the candle. I hadn't made a wish in years, because I didn't believe wishes came true. But right then, for some reason, I closed my eyes, and I wished. I wish. I didn't feel so alone anymore. What did you wish for? Yael asked when I opened my eyes. I looked at him. Then I smiled and shook my head. If I tell you, it won't come true. Yael smiled softly. Fair enough. We ate the cupcake, slurped the ramen, and talked about random things. I learned Yael was studying architecture and had just transferred from New York. He didn't say much about himself, but every answer made me want to ask more. And strangely, I laughed. Actually laughed. Not the forced kind. Not the polite kind. But because I was happy. Bellamy. Yeah. Yael looked at me, his eyes softening. You're not who you think you are. I frowned. What do you mean? You think you're lonely? He spoke slowly. But really, you just haven't given anyone a chance to stay. My heart skipped. You've only known me for less than a day, I said. Don't psychoanalyze me like I'm one of your homework assignments. Yael laughed. I'm not analyzing. I'm just feeling. A silence fell. Not awkward. Just full of things left unsaid. Bellamy, Yael said softly. What? He looked at me with even deeper eyes. What if I said, I want to be your birthday wish? I froze. The air felt thick. Are you joking? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. No, just one word. But it was enough to make my heart race. I didn't know how to answer. Because deep down, I realized I didn't want to say no. I looked at Yael. Without blinking. Without turning away. And I didn't know what I was waiting for. You can't say something like that to someone you just met, I said, my voice dropping, a little hoarse. Yael didn't look flustered. He just leaned back in his chair, eyes still fixed on me, calm in a way that was almost scary. Then how should I say it? He asked. I let out a small laugh, but my insides were a mess. More normally. At least pretend you're not trying to barge into my life on day one. But I do want to. Again, that brutally honest answer that left me speechless. I never met anyone like Yael. No circling around. No dodging. No playing guessing games like everyone else on campus. He was like a straight line, and I was a tangled mess. Are you always like this? I asked, crossing my arms. Like what? So sure about everything. Yael thought for a second, then shook his head. Not everything. Then what? He looked at me and smiled faintly. About the things I really want. I swallowed hard. A strange feeling spread through my chest. Not quite fear, but not comfort either. Like standing in front of a door, not knowing whether to open it. You don't know anything about me, I said. Then tell me. I'm not as easy to be around as you think. I don't need you to be easy. I might disappoint you. Yael shrugged. I'll take responsibility for my own expectations. I laughed this time for real. You're crazy. Maybe. Or really stupid. Could be. Then why me? The question slipped out before I could stop it. The air paused. Yael didn't answer right away. He looked at me longer than usual, like he was deciding whether to be honest. Then finally, because you looked lonely, that sentence hit me straight in the chest. Not because it was wrong, but because it was so right. You don't have the right, I started, my voice rising a little. To see that? Yael cut in, still calm. I don't need permission. I just have eyes. I stood up abruptly. You don't understand anything. Then explain. Not everyone wants to be saved. I'm not trying to save you. I paused. Then what are you trying to do? Yael looked straight into my eyes. Stay. One word. But this time, I couldn't keep talking. The small kitchen fell quiet. The fridge hummed softly. Wind slipped through the crack of the door. And my heart beat faster than usual. Why? I asked quietly. Yael tilted his head. You need a reason? I don't believe in things without reasons. Then think of it as. He paused, then continued, you're my exception. I scoffed. Sounds like a line from a cheap romance movie. Maybe, Yael shrugged. But that doesn't make it wrong. I sat back down. I didn't have the energy to argue anymore. Not because I was out of reasons, but because I was starting to fear I might actually believe him. You shouldn't do this, I said, eyes on the table. Do what? Come close to someone like me. Why? I'm not the kind of person you think I am. You've been saying that this whole time, Yael replied gently. But you still haven't told me what kind of person that is. I stayed silent. My fingers clenched. There were too many things I didn't want to say. Too many things I had buried deep. Bellamy, Yael called softly. I didn't look up. You don't have to tell me everything right now, he said. But don't decide for me that I want to stay. I bit my lip. Aren't you scared? Of what? That I'll make you regret it. Yael smiled faintly. If I regret it, that's my choice. I looked up. This time I met his eyes directly. And I saw something I didn't expect. Not pity. Not curiosity. But determination. You really want to stay? I asked. Yeah. Even if I don't promise anything? Yeah. Even if I might push you away at any moment? Yeah. I let out a long breath, then leaned back in my chair. You're really not normal. Yael chuckled softly. I think you're not either. A silence. But this time, it didn't feel heavy anymore. So, Yael said, breaking the quiet, does your birthday wish include me? I looked at him. My heart beat faster again. I don't know, I answered honestly. Yael nodded. That's enough. Enough? Yeah. He stood up and started clearing the cups. Because I don't know is still better than never. I watched his back as he moved. A warm feeling crept into my chest. Small, but enough for me to realize something was changing. That night, when I lay in bed, I couldn't fall asleep right away. White ceiling, dim light, and in my head was Yael. His voice, his eyes, the way he said stay like it was the simplest thing in the world. I rolled over and buried my face in the pillow. This is insane, I muttered, but my lips unconsciously curved into a smile. Maybe, just maybe, I had wished for exactly what I needed. And for the first time in years, I started looking forward to tomorrow. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual, not because of the alarm, but because I hadn't slept deeply. All night I kept waking up, my mind replaying Yael's words on loop like a stuck tape. Stay. I want to. You're my exception. Damn it. I sat up and ran a hand through my messy hair. I hated this feeling. The feeling of being affected by someone else so quickly. I got out of bed, changed, and opened my door. And immediately, good morning. I jumped. Yael was leaning against the wall opposite my room, holding a cup of coffee, like he'd been waiting there. Before I even opened the door, what are you doing here? I asked, frowning. Waiting for you. Why? Yael held the coffee out to me. I figured you're not the type to take care of yourself in the morning. I looked at the coffee, then at him. Are you stalking me? No, Yael answered immediately. Just good at observing. I sighed but took the cup anyway. It was warm, and exactly the way I usually drank it. Who did you ask about me? I said, taking a sip. No one. Then how did you know I drink it like this? Yael shrugged. Just guessed. I stared at him for a moment. You're actually kind of scary. Thanks, he smiled. We walked to class together. Neither of us said much. But this silence didn't feel uncomfortable at all. It felt like a natural pause between two people who had known each other for a long time, even though in reality, we only met less than 24 hours ago. Bellamy. I turned to him. Yeah. Yael kept looking straight ahead as we walked. Do you have any plans this weekend? Nope. Now you do. I laughed. You're just deciding for me? Yep. Bold. You can say no. I stayed quiet for a second, then said, I'll think about it. Yael nodded. Good. When we reached the lecture building, we split up. But right before I walked into class, Yael called out again. Bellamy. What? Don't disappear. I paused. What do you mean? Just. Yael shrugged. You seem like the type who pull away once things start feeling real. I looked at him. This time I didn't argue back. Because he was right. I won I said, even though I wasn't sure myself. Yael smiled faintly. I hope so. Class dragged on slowly. Not because the lecture was boring, but because I couldn't focus. I kept thinking about Yael. About how he had appeared in my life like a strange wind. Fast, unexpected, and hard to control. Bellamy, are you listening? The professor called my name. I startled. Yes. Then can you answer the question I just asked? The whole class turned to look at me. I stood there, mind completely blank. I'm sorry. A few chuckles rippled through the room. I sat down, feeling my face heat up. Great. My birthday had just passed, and I was starting the new day by becoming the class joke. After class, I packed up quickly. I didn't want to stay. Didn't want to talk. Didn't want. You running away? I turned. Yael was standing at the classroom door. I'm not running, I replied. Looked like it. I just want to go back to my room. Yael stepped closer. What's wrong? Nothing. Bellamy. I sighed. It's just a bad day. What happened? I got called on and had no idea what to say. Yael nodded. That's it? I hate being looked at like that. Like what? Like someone who has no clue what they're doing. Yael was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "But you do know." I frowned. "Where did you get that from? Because if you really didn't know, you wouldn't feel so bad about it." I paused. "That actually makes sense. It usually does." I smiled a little. "Are you always right?" "No," Yael shook his head. "Only when I'm talking to you." I glanced at him. "That sounds like flirting." "Maybe." My heart skipped again. I hated how naturally he said things like that. "Don't you think this is moving too fast?" I asked. "What? This? What's this?" "Me and you." Yael looked at me. This time his eyes weren't playful anymore. "Fast or slow doesn't matter," he said. "What matters is whether it's real." I swallowed. "And you think it's real?" "Yeah." I turned away. I couldn't look him in the eye after hearing that. "What about you?" Yael asked. I stopped. I didn't know how to answer. "I'm not ready yet," I said finally. Yael nodded. No disappointment. No pressure. Just simple acceptance. Okay. We stood there for a while. Neither of us spoke. "But," I said. Yael looked at me. "I don't want you to disappear either." A very soft smile appeared on his lips. Then I won tea. And this time, I believed him. That afternoon, we sat together on the campus lawn. Students walked by, laughter filling the air. But through all that noise, I only heard Yael's voice. "Have you ever wished for something, then been scared it might actually come true?" I asked. Yael turned to me. "Yeah." When it means I have to change." I nodded slightly. "Yeah. Me too." A breeze blew past. I shivered lightly. "Cold?" Yael asked. "I'm fine." A second later, I felt something settle on my shoulders. Yael's jacket. I said I was fine, but I still wanted to. I looked at him. Then, I didn't give the jacket back. Maybe that was the first time I didn't refuse something good that was offered to me. And I didn't know that. It was also the first step that made it impossible for me to go back to the way things were before. That evening, I didn't head straight back to my room. Instead, I wandered around campus alone. Like always, but something was different. Not the scenery, not the paths, but me. I slipped my hands into the pockets of Yael's jacket, which I was still wearing. It was a little too big. There was a faint, warm scent. Not strong, but enough that I noticed it every time I breathed. I stopped by the small pond behind the library. Golden lights reflected on the water, sparkling like broken memories. "You're hiding again." I didn't need to turn around to know who it was. "Are you actually stalking me?" I asked, half joking, half serious. Footsteps came closer. "No," Yael said. "Just guessed right." I turned. He stood there, hands in his pockets, hair slightly messy from the wind. "You're not going back to your room?" I asked. "You're not either." I smiled faintly. I guess I needed some space. "Then I'll stand a little farther away." I frowned. "I didn't say you had to leave." Yael shrugged. "I know." A silence. But this time it didn't feel as comfortable as before. There was something heavier. "Bellamy." "Yeah." "What are you afraid of?" The question came too fast. Too direct. I turned away and looked down at the water. "I'm not afraid. You're avoiding." I clenched my fists. "I'm just thinking about whether you should let me get closer or not." I didn't answer. Yael stepped a little nearer. Not too close. Just close enough for me to feel his presence. "I don't need you to decide right now," he said. "But you can't keep standing in the middle forever." I laughed dryly. "You make it sound so simple." "It's not simple," Yael shook his head. "It's just clear." I turned back to look at him. "Clear to you? Then let me help you see it more clearly." "You can't help me like that." "Why?" "Because..." I stopped. "Because if I let him get closer, I wouldn't be able to control it anymore." "I'll ruin it," I said quietly. Yael was silent for a second, then asked, "Have you ruined things before?" I didn't answer right away, but this time, I didn't deny it. "Yes," I said. The wind blew stronger. The surface of the pond rippled. "Who was it?" Yael asked. I closed my eyes for a second. Old images surfaced. One person. One smile. One time I thought I wasn't alone anymore. "It doesn't matter," I said. It matters to you. Not anymore. Yael didn't T-push. But he didn't T-back away either. You think the same thing will happen with me? He asked. I opened my eyes, looked straight at him. It might. Then let it happen. I froze. Did you hear what I said? I did. And you still want to stay. I laughed. But this time, there was no joy in it. You really are stupid. Maybe. You don't know what that feels like. I said, my voice dropping. When you let someone in. And then they leave like you were nothing. Yael looked at me. Longer than usual. Then this time don't let them leave. I shook my head. It's not that simple. Then don't give them the chance to leave. My chest tightened. I can't make anyone stay. Yael took one more step. The distance between us grew smaller. More dangerous. I don't need you to make me stay, he said. I'll stay on my own. I looked at him. Close. Too close. You don't understand. I understand enough. No, you don't, I cut him off. You only see what you want to see. Yael didn't react immediately. He just looked at me. And for the first time I saw something different in his eyes. Not gentleness, but hurt. Then tell me, he said, his voice lower. What am I missing? I opened my mouth. Then closed it again. I could tell him. I could explain. But if I did, everything would become real. Bellamy, Yael called softly. I looked at him. And in that moment, I wanted to believe that this time would be different. But the fear was still stronger. You should stop, I said. The air froze. Stop? Yael repeated. I nodded. Before things get complicated. A long silence stretched out. For you, Yael said slowly, or for me? I didn't answer. Yael smiled faintly. But it wasn't as warm as before. I get it. My heart ached. So this is how you protect yourself? He asked. Yeah. By pushing everyone away? Yeah. Yael nodded. Does it work? I didn't answer. Because the answer was yes. But the price was loneliness. I'm not that person, Yael said. I clenched my fists. You'll end up the same. No, Yael said. I looked at him. Because I have no intention of leaving. My heart skipped again. I can't trust you, I said. Yael nodded. That's okay. But, I continued, my voice growing smaller. I don't want you to leave either. A very soft smile appeared on his lips. Then don't make me leave. I looked at him. For a long time. A very long time. Then finally, I breathed out. You can stay, I said. Yael didn't say anything. He just moved a little closer. But, I added. Slowly. He nodded. Slowly. And this time, neither of us pulled away. The wind blew across the pond. Gently. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I was standing alone. After that night, everything didn't change all at once. And maybe that was the best thing. Yael didn't suddenly become the center of my life. He didn't text nonstop. He didn't force me to meet every day. He didn't ask questions I wasn't ready to answer. But he was always there. A short morning text. You up? A cup of coffee left at my door. Guessed you'd need this today. A nod from across the campus lawn. No words needed, but enough for me to notice. Yael was keeping his promise. Staying. And I was starting to get used to it. Bellamy, are you smiling to yourself? I jumped. Tyler was sitting across from me, looking suspicious. No, I answered immediately. Yes, he frowned. I just saw it clearly. I looked down at my phone. A text from Yael. Don't forget to eat lunch. I turned the screen off. Just a text. Tyler narrowed his eyes. From who? None of your business. Oh, there is something going on. He grinned mischievously. Tell me. I shook my head. It's nothing. Bullshit, Tyler said. You never smile at nothing. I stayed quiet. Because he was right. Who is it? Tyler asked again, more seriously this time. I hesitated. Then said, someone. Who just moved in. Guy or girl? I paused for a second. Guy, I answered. Tyler was silent. Not for long. But long enough for me to notice the shift. Oh, he said. Just one word. But I knew what he was thinking. If you're going to ask, just ask, I said, a little annoyed. Tyler exhaled. I don't want to make you uncomfortable. Then don't. But you know I'm going to ask, he said. Do you like him? That question was simple, but it made me unable to answer right away. I looked down at the table. My fingers tapped lightly. I don't know, I said honestly. Tyler nodded. What about him? I think he does. A silence. And what are you doing about it? I smiled weakly, trying to do nothing. Tyler frowned. Sounds exactly like you. I don't want to ruin it, I said. Or are you scared it'll end before it even starts? I didn't answer. Tyler leaned back in his chair. Look, Bellamy, I'm not a relationship expert or anything, but if someone really wants to be with you, he paused, then at least give them a chance. I looked up. He's already doing that, I said. No, Tyler shook his head. I mean, you give him a chance. Those words hit home, because I realized, from the beginning, the one trying had always been Yael, and I had just been standing still. Bellamy. I turned. Yael was standing at the cafeteria entrance. My heart beat faster. I'm heading out, I told Tyler. Yeah, he nodded. Go. Then added, softer. And don't run. I didn't reply, but this time, I didn't avoid it. Have you eaten? Yael asked as I walked over. Not yet. Want to eat with me? I nodded. Sure. We got our food and sat in a quiet corner. You seem lighter today, Yael said. I'm always light, I replied. No, he shook his head. Today is different. I smiled faintly. Maybe something good happen? I thought for a moment. I'm starting to feel like everything isn't so scary. Yael looked at me. His eyes softened. That's progress. Don't act like I just finished some huge challenge, I said. For you, it kind of is. I didn't argue. Yael, I called. Yeah. I looked at him. This time. Without avoiding. What are you waiting for? Yael frowned slightly. What do you mean? You said you wanted to stay, I said. But you're not doing anything. A very soft smile appeared. What do you want me to do? I swallowed hard. I don't know. Then let me try, Yael said, before I could ask what he meant. He reached across the table and touched my hand. It was just a light touch, but my heart seemed to stop. I looked down. His fingers rested on mine. Warm, steady. Like this? Yael asked. I didn't pull my hand away. Yeah. I whispered. He didn't squeeze. Didn't push further. Just stayed there. And I did the same. The space around us seemed to fade. All that was left was that feeling. You still okay? Yael asked. I nodded. Yeah. A tiny smile appeared on his lips. Then, I'll keep going. I didn't know what keep going meant. But this time, I wasn't afraid to ask anymore. Keep going how? I asked. Yael looked at me, his eyes deeper. Slowly, he said. I smiled faintly. Slowly. And for the first time, I felt like I was walking toward something. Not running away. Not avoiding. But stepping forward. With someone else.